This is a Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 202.
Taking it small, trying to form the good habits and trying to get rid of the bad ones. And sometimes they are hard to get rid of.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, Clay Trader.
All right, hopefully you saw in the title that this is a part number 2. So if you have not listened to part number 1, go back and listen to episode 201, and this will all flow a whole lot better, and things will just be much more logistically friendly. I guess we'll leave it at that. Can you tell I'm an engineer? Who says logistically friendly? Only a former process engineer would say that, but oh well, it is what it is. But with that being said, as a reminder, well, you should know this because you've gone back and listened to part number 1. But if you're going to be a rebel and you're just not even going to listen to it, Ches, our normal co-host, was not able to be part of this because of some technical difficulties with internet and such. So it's just me and Brad. But again, Brad, he goes by Darb24 in the chat room. So let's get to it with episode number 202 and part number 2.
But I actually kind of began to get discouraged with it, and I'll tell you why. And it's kind of funny because as I was listening to all the podcasts and things like that, I began to think, man, all these people are going into options, and I don't know why, but I just had this idea in my head that I did not want to trade options. I wanted to trade stocks. And I would listen to podcast after podcast after podcast, and people would be like, yeah, I got into it. And then we ended up going into options. And then, it was like, man, why is everybody going to options? And I was just like, I want to trade stocks. I don't want to do options. And so I began to get a little bit discouraged with it, I guess, because I knew I didn't have the kind of capital, the money I would need to get past the pattern day trader rule. And so I never did do it again, but I did consider going back with Sure Trader. I never did, but I did consider it. And so honestly, there for, let's see, I was in Wyoming from the end of June until, when did I come back?
About September-ish, if it was 3 months?
Yeah, sometime in September. And probably there around August, end of August into September, I just kind of began to let things lie. I didn't do a whole lot with trading, paper trading, because like I said, I was just kind of getting discouraged with it, thinking, man, I don't have the capital. Options are way too complicated. And by this time, I'd finished the payments for a CTU, so I had access to all of it, which I already had access to the basic options anyway. And so I'd gotten back home from Wyoming, and I thought, well, let me just take a look at the options course, a simplified options course. And so I went through that. It didn't take me, very much time to go through that, a few days, I think. And it was just like, what were my hangups? I don't understand. It seemed great.
Like, wait, that's it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And
I have to hop in because I realize that Brad's kind of, it sounds like he's being shady in terms of why he didn't want to do options, why he just wanted to do stocks. But I was the exact same way. People have been telling me for years, Clay, at least learn about options. At least, consider them. Clay, I like the way you teach. Just learn about options so you can teach. And I was just, no, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. But I think, I just thought, I don't know, but definitely I thought, those are way too complicated. They're just puts and calls and delta and wait, what? I don't speak Greek. No. And for literally years, I'm not even exaggerating here. Now options, stocks. And finally, I put things together, but actually when I taught, I was like, or when I learned about it myself, I was like, whoa, wait, that's it? Oh, this is going to be a piece of cake to teach about. I got the analogy here and then I'm going to do that analogy. And Yeah, so I can totally relate to Brad, and it's hard to put your finger on it, but I think at the core it was almost an intimidation thing about
Right.
maybe for me it was I was I was kind of covering up my ego, and because I don't want to necessarily admit that I was intimidated by him, so I was just like, nah, and I just come up with all sorts of different reasons about. But yeah, it's amazing how they're not all they're cracked up to be in terms of complication. I mean,
Right.
yeah, but so that's funny. I had a feeling you're just like, oh, that's it, because that's the same exact feeling I had when I learned about them.
Yeah. And, I'm to the point now to where, I started learning about them, and then I really started getting excited again, about the market. Cause I'm like, okay, well, here's something that, I don't have to have $25,000 to get over the PD2 rule. And, here's something that I could trade, and, it doesn't take just a whole lot of capital to get into. And, I can get my feet wet with it. And so, like I said, I really began to get excited about it again. And now I'm to the point now to where, honestly, I, I don't know, even if one day when I do have an account that's over the $25,000 threshold, I don't know that I'll ever go back to stocks. I'm enjoying options. I really do. I really am. And, but anyway, so I began to go through the options simplified, and I took that, and so then then I began to paper trade options, and
did you paper trade them according to the paper trade plan that I laid out in the course?
No.
Hey, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate the honesty, but I'm glad you didn't say yes, because that 2-second hesitation kind of gave it away. But
yeah.
Okay. So how did you go about paper trading them? Because for listeners within the Options Flight course, the engineer in me comes out, the process engineer in me, and I'm like, okay, step 1, do this. Step 2, pay attention to that. Step 3, but Brad, he didn't. And like I said, I commend you for your honesty. So what was the Brad way of paper trading options then?
Well, I just basically just to, and then I went ahead and signed up for Thinkorswim, and so I could have access to the charts and all the information there, and had full intention of trading with them. But then I got to looking at the commissions and everything else, and so I decided for the size of account that I was going to start with, that just wasn't going to work for me, because everything I would make would be eaten up in commissions. And
what were their commissions? Because this is actually an interesting point that so many people overlook.
Right, $3.95. I think round trip to get in and out of a trade, it was, I think round trip is going to be around $15, if I'm not mistaken.
For your strategy, right?
Right.
Because and that would be the amount of contracts that you knew you would want to buy, and that was all factored into it, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Brad. This brings up a brilliant point. And Brad, I know I'm going to go off here, but you've dragged me down a very valuable rabbit hole. But this is why you're brand new. Okay, what broker should I use? Well, you're way too far ahead of yourself, because Brad has done things the right way. He was thinking about using Thinkorswim, but as we just discussed, he knew, oh, wait, I can't use Thinkorswim. Why? Well, because the commissions are too high. How did he know? Why did he know that the commissions would be too high? Because he had a strategy in place. He had an idea of, okay, well, I know with my strategy, I'm going to be needing to do X amount of trades with Y amount of contracts. And I promise, if you've never done options, I get it. Trades, contracts, it all sound, contracts. What? Don't worry about it. I promise it's not that complicated. But the point here is that this is why one of the last things you do as a trader is you focus on the platform, the broker, all of that, because the platform and the broker is a function of, well, what are your strategies? What are your goals within your strategy? What are you looking to do? What are the systems in place? And in this case, to Brad's point, well, he knew how many contracts he would want to buy. So because he knew how many contracts he wanted to buy in order to make his strategy work, he also just determined, well, that's $15. That's not going to work within my strategy. Therefore, very clearly, TD Ameritrade was not the broker for him. So I realized he was kind of just passively saying that, but that's a huge point that, and I don't blame Brad. I mean, he's not on the customer service end like I am all the time, but see it all the time. Hey, Clay, I'm brand new. What broker should I use? Hey, Clay, I'm brand new. What's the best platform? Well, I don't know. What's your strategy? What's the rules of your strategy? What are your goals? What are you looking to do? Figure all that stuff out. And then you come back to the actual, first you got to learn how to use a hammer. Based on what type of job you want to be doing is going to depend on, well, do you need a little, what are the trim hammer? Do you know what those are called, Brad? If you're just doing trim, those little small hammers.
I don't know. I'm not really a carpenter.
Yeah, I don't know either. Anyways, so I don't know. Do you need a hammer to just, hit at those little nails for the trim? Do you need a normal hammer for, a nail? Do you need a sledgehammer? I don't know what kind of hammer you need. Go out there, learn, figure out your strategy, and then that's going to tell you what sort of hammer you're actually going to need. And if one broker is offering a little, small hammer when you know that you need a sledgehammer, then you're not going to go with the broker that's only offering a certain type of. Brad, is any of this making sense, or did I just go off the deep? And in my mind, the analogy makes sense, but I might have lost.
No, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
Absolutely.
So anyways, moral of the story. This is exact. I get it. It sounds backwards. It seems like I'm brand new. The first thing I need is a broker and platform. Wrong. The first thing you need is knowledge and to figure out what your strategy is, and then from there, you're gonna, you kind of got to work backwards. But anyways. Right. You TD Ameritrade, you calculated because you knew your strategy was $15. So that was too much. So, what did you do from that point? Did you find somebody else, or did you have to manipulate your strategy a little bit or pick it up from there?
No, I ended up going with Tastyworks as far as my broker, and I still use TD Ameritrade I still use Thinkorswim for my charts. But I actually execute the trades on Tastyworks, and they're not really. I don't really like them for day trading options. I think they're more for advanced options and the advanced option strategies.
Right, swing trading more so.
Right. And so one of these days, I do want to maybe look into going to somebody like Interactive Brokers. But for right now, for the commissions that Tastyworks has, and just when I first opened my account with them, I opened the account with $300, just because I didn't want to, I just wanted to stick my toe in the water, and so with an account that small, when you're talking about, making a trade, with the account that small, the best you're going to look at, if I buy a contract, it's it's $1.50. The best case scenario I'm going to look at is maybe making a $10 profit or, $15 profit or something like that, and so, a dollar commission from Tastyworks is, it's nothing. A $15 commission from Thinkorswim is gonna, is completely wipe that out. So,
right. And
so that's why
I don't want to speak for you, but and correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that you are using $300 because sure, okay, well, maybe I'll make $10, maybe I'll make $8, maybe I'll make $15, but you're not necessarily in it with that $300 to make money in the sense of, hey, now I can support my family. Hey, now I can do this. You're in it to form good habits, right?
Right, absolutely.
And that's
and I have. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, all you.
All I was going to say is I have bumped that up now, and not a whole lot. I've got 1,000 in there now, but there again, it's just I want to just start creeping it up gradually, and not to get too big too fast, and like you said, taking it small, trying to form the good habits, and trying to get rid of the bad ones. And sometimes they are hard to get rid of.
Yeah. And that's why I cringe when everybody is like, okay, I invested into, CTU, or I invested into anything or whatever. And then all of a sudden they give their account size. It's like, whoa, I get it. We're all here to make money. I understand your time is valuable. You want to get some sort of return on your investment from a time perspective, but you got to just slow down. So I love to hear that you are just slowly increasing your account, slowly focusing on the habits, because I realize I'm not going to call anybody stupid for sitting there saying, well, yeah, I want to use big money because I want to make my time worth it and I want to actually make money. I don't want to sit here and make $15, $20. I mean, it needs to be worth my time. Fair point. But that's the problem with the market is it's kind of counterintuitive at times where in the market, it's actually best to go super, super slow and make $5, $15, $20. Because early on, you're not supposed to be focused on the dollars per se. You're supposed to be focusing on what are the habits being developed? What are the habits being deployed that just generated that $10? I get it, $10, okay, right, whatever. But how did you get there? How did you get to that $10? Because those habits can be scaled bigger and bigger. But if you go out there with too much money at first, and then all of a sudden, like Brad, welcome to the club of having bad habits that you need to kick to the curb. If one of those bad habits do jump up when you're using bigger amounts of money, well, now all of a sudden, instead of making money that's, quote unquote, worth your time, you just took a big chunk away from you. And you would, a lot of people are like, well, yeah, I much rather would have had a bunch of $10, $15, $20 wins compared to that one, bad habit that showed up all of a sudden. And all of a sudden, things are a lot worse than what they would have been. So I get it. And I just want to, what the moral of the story is, I get it. The numbers aren't exactly big that Brad's talking about, but you have to keep things in context of where he's at in his journey. He's just focused on good habits because good habits are scalable, but you got to take it slow. And welcome to the wonderful world of trading. We're going slow when it comes to making money. It's much easier said than done. And before I forget, you started with $300. How did that account go? Because you're at 1,000. Did you grow the account to 1,000, or did you add more money to get it up to 1,000? What was the, what was kind of the anatomy of that growth there?
No, I added more money to get it to 1,000. I grew it from 300 up to about 450, and then I added to the account. I brought it up to 600, and got greedy, and then lost half of that. And
Talk us about getting greedy. I want to hear about it. People like to hear about blood and about nasty stories. So let's get a little nasty here, Brad.
Well, I had, let's see, I added to the account, and I had this, and this was, let's see, I started trading live in November, and I think it was the beginning part of November. And just before Thanksgiving, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, I had one day where I'd made $156, and off an account the size of mine, that was huge, And,
yeah, I was going to say, how did you make that? What did you do?
Well, I got lucky, basically.
Okay, I had lucky. A feeling it might have been something like that. So again, I appreciate your honesty. That's good stuff. That's the first step in fixing problems, is admitting, I think an issue was I just got lucky in the first place. So props to you for admitting the reality of the matter.
Yeah, I'd gotten in on, I bought an Apple put, and that morning, first thing at the opening bell, and the stock just pushed up and pushed up and pushed up. And I ended up getting out with, I think, $156 profit. And so the next day, I thought I was going to do it again.
Wait,
and,
you bought a call?
I bought a call. I'm sorry. I bought a call.
All right. That's fine.
And
I promise listeners, options are not that complicated. Brad just misspoke, but it's not that big of a deal. Brad, we're supposed to be making it sound like options are no big deal. But okay, so you bought a call, which means you make money if Apple stock goes up, and
Correct.
It did go up.
Correct.
So
Correct.
I'm curious though, what was your reasoning behind buying that call? Was there something on the chart, or was it literally just, I'm going to buy a call?
Honestly, I don't really remember. I think the stock had started pushing up, and so I think it was a level of support or a level of resistance I was kind of expecting it to get to, and so I jumped in for that, and then when I did, it just blew past it, and I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to ride it out for a little while and see where it goes, and so that's what I did.
Know if So where do you feel that you got lucky then? Because I feel like if you identified some support, and if you identified it was showing strength off that support, and you got in anticipation of a resistance break, which it did break the resistance, I might be missing something, but where do you feel as though the luck came into play?
Well, maybe it was unlucky to where it gave me unrealistic ideas and maybe unrealistic expectations, because the next day I was going to try to do the same thing, and then the next day is when I lost the $300.
So what happened there? It just walk us through that trade then.
Honestly, I that's been a month ago. I don't really remember that one too well. I'm trying to think of what I did on that one, and I do have
That's
notes. I do have notes on it, but they're back with my other
they're
stuff at the
back home.
house.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah.
being shredded by your 4 boys right now. They're just
Yeah.
using them as like food. Who knows
Yeah.
what the boys are doing with them? They're probably lighting them on fire right now. Or I
The
don't know what they're doing. Shooting
paper
them full
airplanes.
of holes. I don't know. Yeah, paper airplanes. There we go. But I mean, I guess that's a good thing you have a short memory for your losses. But I mean, come on. How did you lose that amount? Did you not honor a stop loss? Did you
I
average
didn't.
down? How did it actually turn into a $300 loss?
I didn't honor my loss, my stop loss, because when it started going against me, I thought it'll come back, it'll come back, and it didn't come back, and so then when I finally did decide to jump out of it, that's I had the $300 loss on me. So, but yeah,
so missed the it'll come back voice showed up in your head.
Yes.
I'm very well aware of the it'll come back voice. I think anybody that's traded with real money has met the it'll come back voice that will show up. And sometimes it does. And then it sets you up for failure because all it takes is one time where it doesn't. And,
right.
Now, did you have a stop loss in? Or
I had a.
Where is it? Let me ask it this way: are you using hard stops or are you doing mental stops?
I'm doing mental stops, just because with Tastyworks, the stops don't always get filled, and I've had a couple stops where they've gotten filled and a couple where they have not, and I don't trust them. And so what I've been doing here lately is when I do get into a trade, I have my entry point, and I'll before I get in, I'll draw a line on my chart and say, okay, if it crosses this line, I'm out, and so that's what I've been doing here lately. But I would rather use the hard stop, but I've had a couple times where it didn't feel me. And when the way Tastyworks is, and this is one of the things I don't like about them, if you already have an order in, like a stop, you have to go cancel that order before you can actually come back and put a manual stop, or to put another sale order in. And so rather than having to do that, I would just rather have my finger on the button myself, ready to get out if I need to get out.
That makes sense. But back how long ago was this trade? About a month ago, you said?
Yeah. It was the week of, it was just a few days before Thanksgiving.
Oh, okay. Well, what a crappy way to go into Thanksgiving, but
anyways,
yeah. Sounds like you have a short memory, so that's good. Now, so you took that loss, and it was only the voice of it's going to come back up. Do you remember thinking anything else then? And I don't mean to beat this dead horse, but the psychology of losses is always a fascinating topic, as I'm sure you know since you've listened to many of these episodes. But I mean, was it mainly, do you think, just the it'll come back up voice, or was there a stubborn voice of wanting to be right? Or, I mean, do you remember if anybody else joined the voice party of why you shouldn't honor your stop loss?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for me, trading with such a small account, it doesn't take long before, my buying power for the day is used up. And another thing that played into it then was, okay, if I get out, I'm done for the day. I can't get back in. I have no more buying power. And so that's kind of one of the voices that I have to deal with as well.
Interesting. That makes perfect sense. That's valuable information there. That's another voice where, I'm glad. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Good job, Clay, for pressing on this question, because that's actually, for you listeners out there, maybe you're thinking, I don't know why can't I just honor a loss? I mean, I know it's not going to come back up, but I still don't honor the loss. Perhaps, look yourself in the mirror. Maybe you have what Brad's experiencing. Maybe it's a matter of the voice of, well, if you get out, then you can't get back in. And so you better stay. So, thank you for sharing that, because that's a valuable little bit of wisdom there that I think people can relate to, because I can totally see how, I mean, you're in this to trade. You want to learn. You want to get trades on. So the thought of, well, I'm going to be done for the day. Well, that's a buzzkill. Nobody wants to be done for the day, especially if it's early in the morning. So, that's good stuff there. And now, are you still fighting that voice? Have you corrected it some? Are you working on correcting it? Where do you kind of stand in regards to, let me just structure it this way. How are you doing with losses at this point? I mean, are you getting better at them? Are you still struggling a lot? Where does all that kind of currently reside?
I'm getting better. As long as as long as everything's kind of going to plan, the losses don't really bother me that bad. It's when I screw up and mess up the plan. That's what I don't like. That's when I kind of start beating myself up. Um, you know, uh, Monday that was the day before Christmas, and I actually made a couple trades Monday and was up $100, and then ended up giving that $100 back plus another 53. And it was just because I didn't follow my plan that I had laid out, and I was more upset, that not about the dollar value, that just that I made the mistake and didn't stick to the plan that I'd made for myself. And
I got to
so
jump in. I want to encourage you here and tell you, you are so focused on the right thing, because it's very clear that you are in this right now, not for the money, but for the habits. So like
right.
you're saying, what drove you insane was, that you let a bad habit, that there is a personality, there's a mental thing that happened. You just didn't listen to your plan. You had a plan and you didn't listen to it. And that's what driving you crazy. What would have been a red flag to me is if you're like, oh, and I lost the money, and I lost the money, and all you talk about is the money. But that's not what you said. You're so focused on, that it was not a good habit. You knew that you should not have acted that way. And your actions, not the money, is what really ruined it for you. And that's a good sign. So, I mean, you're definitely on the right path. You're focused on the right thing. Way too many people, you hear about them complain and complain and complain. It's always they complain about the money. They don't complain about the bad habits that lost the money. They just complain about the lost money. It's like, well, have fun fixing that problem if you're focused on the wrong thing. So props to you for, but yeah, I mean, I know the feeling, and that's that's the worst.
I
when
think
you're stupid. What are you doing, you moron? Why did you act that way? It's so frustrating.
Yeah. And I think it was Wednesday. I think it was $48 that I made Wednesday, but 47, 48, something like that. But I beat myself up the rest of the day because I did it very sloppily. I mean, is that a word? Sloppily? Sloppy.
I make up words all the time. Go ahead. I know what you meant.
But anyway, I mean, I was upset with myself the rest of the day because, I mean, it was poorly executed, and it was, it was just, I was lucky I got out, green rather than being red, because like I said, I was more upset with myself that day than I am over some days when I'm red, but, so that's kind of where my focus is right now, is just, trying to, like you say, trying to get rid of the bad habits and just stick with the good ones. But sometimes it's a whole lot easier said than done.
No, absolutely. It sounds like, though, that overall your account is trending upwards. I mean, yes, you've made boneheaded mistakes. You've done some stupid things. Welcome to the club. But overall, your account is increasing. It's in an uptrend. Is that a fair observation on my part?
Well, other than that $300, since that $300 loss, I'm pretty much break even.
Okay.
I did increase the size up to 1,000 sometime around the beginning, maybe the first or second week of December, and so I'm break even right now. I've had a couple good days, and I had one day I'd made, I think it was 210, and then a couple of days later I gave all that right back. I think I had a loss of 197 a couple of days after that. So I've been kind of back and forth, but at least treading water.
Yeah, and that's Ches. Since he's not here, I'll use that's part of the part of the process is, unfortunately, too many people, and I don't blame those people with the way people market things, is let me teach you how to trade and start making money. And that's not really how it works. Usually, let me teach you how to trade. Let's get you to break even. Let's get you to, just in your words, tread water. And then after you're treading water, after you're kind of getting your feet underneath you, Then we'll start to work on really kind of tightening down the hatchets and focusing on, just twisting those gears in order to, create growth, create consistency. So, I mean, you're definitely on the realistic cycle of, kind of what it takes to get into consistency. But I have to, so why the big swings? How are you up $200 some and then all of a sudden, how do you give it all back? Is this all one trade you make that $200 and then one trade you're giving back all that? Or I guess walk me through that.
I tell you what I did. And, when I started trading live with basic options, before I did that, I started going through the advanced options courses.
Okay. Yep.
And it was just, all over my implied volatility. What is that? And I watched, I think I made it to covered calls until I just got to the point where I was like, okay, this is all over my head. But once I actually started trading basic options live, all that started coming. My understanding started opening up to, okay, now I know what this is. Now I understand what this is. Oh, okay, that's what he was talking about on this. And so I began to go back through some of the advanced options strategies. And on like that one day when I made 210, I'd had the idea the week before is, why not buy a call and a put and just kind of see which way it goes. And then I got to look and I was like, oh, that's an advanced strategy. That's a straddle, And so that's actually what I did that day is I'd bought a straddle. And so when I did that on a Monday, the Tuesday, I think I made about $98 that Tuesday with a straddle. And so I did the same thing on Wednesday. Well, the stock didn't move. It just kind of went sideways all day long. And so I was trying to jump out. I wrote it for, I don't know, a couple hours and it was just not going anywhere. And, I was beginning to lose money on it. And so I was going to try to time it to where maybe I could jump out of one leg when it was profitable and jump out of the other leg when it was profitable. And it just, I blew it all out of the water and took that $200 loss on that day. So that's what that was. And that was definitely, this
all makes sense then. You're growing pains. You're learning as you go. So but at least you're managing the risk in the sense of you're treading water. There's really no better way to put it than that. So, okay, that makes a whole lot more sense when you add in that context that you're just still, you're learning, you're throwing yourself in the trenches and you're, okay, that's how that worked. Okay, that works. But, to listeners, let's don't apple and orange me here. Keep in mind the backdrop of what Brad, he's got the education, he's got the community, he's got lots of tools around him that's allowing him to tread water. So don't take all this and be like, well, that Brad guy, he just, he just is kind of making it up as he goes. No, he's not making it up. He's learning, he's inching along, but he's also doing so with the backdrop of education.
Right.
That, so I guess right now, let's take it. You said you made $44 today. Is that just, again, with an advanced strategy, or is that just straight up, directionally trading? How did you make that $44?
Yeah, that was just straight up, just directional trading, just in and out. I made it on a SPY put and just waited till it got up. I waited till the price got up around a good point of resistance and jumped in, was ready, to jump out if I needed to in case it broke that resistance and spiked on me, and it didn't. It went the direction I thought it would, came back down, and I think I did it twice. I think I jumped out the first time for, I don't know, like an $18 gain, $20 gain, and then I did it one more time and got up to 44, and then was kept waiting. I still had more buying power left for the day, but I never really did see another good setup come along. And probably one thing that does bother me more than anything, if I start out the day with a loss, then okay, I'll start out the day with a loss. I don't like it, but it is what it is. But once I do get gains on the board, it guts me to think about actually taking the risk of giving them back. And so I actually only used about half my buying power today, and I passed up a really good setup, and and I almost jumped in. I had my finger hovering over the button and never did buy the put. And sure enough, it got up to that area of resistance and washed out. And but like I said, I made my $44 for the day. I'm green, and so I just I don't know. I guess I was just happy to sit there and watch it rather than do like I did Monday and give back gains that I'd made for the day.
Let me ask it this way. You say you made your $44 today. I'm going to ask it, did you make some good habits today?
I did.
There we go. That's what matters. Don't even focus on the $44 because I'm speaking from experience. Then you're opening up the window for the "that's it" voice to show up, and when the "that's it" voice shows up, you do stupid things. So keep the window shut. Don't look at it as, oh yeah, I made $44. Especially don't use the word only. I only made 44. Look at it as, did I build good habits today, or did I build some bad habits? And that's a much more realistic way to look at things. I had to ask you though. My guess is you bought a SPY put. Did you happen to buy that right around 9:45-ish, give or take?
I'd have to pull it back up and look and see.
I'm just looking at there was a wolf candle at. Did a wolf candle have anything to do with it?
Yes, it did.
Okay, there we go. Then my guess is you probably bought that put right around 9:45-ish, because you did get a nice little rollover right there. And looking at the chart, I would say, there you go. Good job. Nice little risk versus reward trade. And if I had to maybe make another guess, maybe you did another trade around 10:50 a.m. Eastern time. But you don't have to look things up. I'm just kind of looking at the chart, trying to reverse engineer where you made.
Yeah, I think that 1050 was the one that I missed, that I sat there and watched and didn't trade.
Oh yeah, that thing was hollering at you big time.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the I missed a good trade club. I think I might be president of that club, so no worries. All are welcome here. But before I forget, and we got to start to wrap things up here. But if I was sitting next to you, what exactly do you have on your chart? I mean, do you have all sorts of indicators? Do you keep things pretty basic? But like I said, if a listener or myself were sitting next to you, what would they see as far as your setup and charts and all that good stuff?
Well, I started out with a little bit more, and then I took it down, but I found that I'm still trying to find my way with what I like to use, and so I'm still kind of experimenting. But right now, I've always had the 50 and the 200 SMA, and I had Bollinger Bands up before. Then I took them off, but I've actually put them back on in the last couple of weeks, and I found that I really like to use the Bollinger Bands. And then I've also got the RSI up on my chart as well, and then a momentum graph, and of course the volume.
Okay,
but that's what I've got on my charts.
The momentum graph, interesting. Do you use that quite a bit?
I use it some. I think I use the RSI more, and especially the Bollinger Bands. And I like to try to compare those two, and of course, trend lines, the support and resistance lines and stuff like that.
How many time frames do you use?
I'll use the 1 minute at the start of the day. And after we get about 30 minutes into the day, I use the 1 and the 5. And then after we get about 30 minutes into the day, I'll switch over to the 5 and the 15, or maybe a little bit more than 30 minutes. I'll switch over to the 5 and 15, but I'll start out with the 1 minute, for probably the first 30 minutes of opening, and then I switch over to the 5-minute candles.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, using the 1 minute at 2:00 in the afternoon might be a little bit sketchy, but yeah, 1 minute during the first 9 or the first 30 minutes of the day, I can see that. So all right, cool. If you're listening, saying, wait, what? 2 minute, 5 minute, he's switching to this and that. Yeah, see, this is what figuring out a trading strategy actually looks like. I get it. Some people out there will tell you, just let me send you a text alert and you're going to make a bunch of money, or follow my system and you're going to follow. This is what trading actually looks like, in the sense of being in the trenches, figuring stuff out. It's not always rainbows and butterflies. And yeah, it does take a little bit more than just looking at a single time frame. I mean, if you want to just buy and hope, then I guess, yeah, just use a line chart. That'll work out fine. But if you want to get serious about things. So let's see, was there anything else? I think that's pretty much what I mean. This turned into a two-parter. So welcome. You're in an elite club of people that made the two-parter. And I talked with Brad in the chat room this morning, just making her, and he's, I'm kind of nervous. I took some notes. Hopefully it goes okay. And I was like, oh, good. I like when people are nervous. Those are usually the good ones. And you turned out to be an absolute monster in a good way.
And then I didn't even have my notes.
And you didn't even have your notes. So, I mean, I appreciate you stopping by, but we're not done quite yet. Let's see. When do we ask this? No, I think Ches comes in. So there we go. Time machine question. Yeah. Ches, I wish you were here. This is throwing me off here. But if I were to lend you Ches's time machine and you could go back to, sometime in the beginning, what would be the one bit of advice that you'd give yourself?
The one bit of advice. I don't really know. I mean, the only thing I could think of was maybe get more serious about it sooner in life. Maybe way back then in, 2006, 2007, 2008, instead of waiting another 10 years before I actually started getting serious about it. But even then, I'm not so sure that I would do that. I mean, cause I'm a lot older now. I don't fall for the things now that I probably would have fell for back then, and so, I guess all our experiences in life, all help to bring us to the point of where we're at currently. And so I don't know that there's a whole lot I would honestly change, it's, I mean, who knows? I mean, if I'd have gotten in 10 years ago, I might have jumped in with, my rent money and blew an account up. And then I would have had the idea that, trading's rigged and it sucks and all this. So, I don't know that I would really change a whole lot.
I mean, I was struggling with what I think, or I thought you might say, and the only thing I could really think of is, maybe getting started sooner. But if this was a court of law, you just presented a very strong case where I would say, okay, I see your perspective there. I think if anything, this is what I would say for your mind to kind of break the shackles of, the stock market's, that's not for people, quote unquote, like me, just to maybe,
right.
But to your point, I mean, maybe that would have caused you to get in the market too soon. So I see, but really you did, and why I wanted to just, keep on going with you here and turn this into two-parter, because you really did things the right way. You hustled, you grind. I mean, you did stuff. I mean, you got your freaking CDL so you could drive a truck for 6 months in order to plug the gap, just because never once did I hear you say you pulled out a victim card or you pulled out you just got stuff done. You moved, you worked hard. You went to Wyoming for 3 months to support your family, to get money for your trading account. So I would say that you did things the right way. And, is this the sexiest interview in terms of Brad's now talking to me from his yacht as, Greek women, Italian, I don't know, as some beautiful women are feeding them. I don't know, Brad, there's no beautiful women feeding you grapes right now, are there? Other than your wife, is your wife feeding you some grapes right now? Why she fans you with that?
No.
Okay. So
no, she's probably about ready to strangle me because she's back home with the kids.
Okay,
so.
Well, you can throw me under the bus. Brad's wife, whatever your name is, I take full responsibility. He did not know that I was going to take him for this long. So, Brad's wife, I'm sure you're a lovely woman. I'm sure you're way better than Brad is. But, anyways,
Absolutely.
This is totally my fault. But, Brad, you should have told me. I didn't mean to take you away from your. I'm a jerk, Brad.
No.
Was this a guilt trip? Because it's working. It's working.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. This has been great. Has been great.
All right, we got more questions though. Oh, good. In all honesty though, do you have time or should we just cut it short?
No, absolutely. I have time.
All right. Favorite movie? You can't say Dick and Jane.
I don't know. I like a lot of the older movies. It's from when I was a kid. If I had to pick a favorite, I would say that I love the Rocky series. It's and even the newer ones. Balboa and Creed. But I like the older Rocky series, except for 5. I don't think anybody likes 5.
Yeah, 5 was rough. I liked number 4. I think that was with Drago, the Russian guy.
Right.
Yeah. That was my favorite. But yeah, are you a Rambo fan at all? Is it a Rocky thing or is it a Sylvester Stallone type thing? Because I Rocky or Rambo I always like too.
Yeah, I do like the Rambo movies, but I don't know. I'm especially a big fan of Rocky. And
Gotcha.
like I said, even the newer ones I thought were really good. So
yeah, I still got to see Creed 2 or whatever it is, but that first Creed 1 or whatever it was
Yeah.
called, that was pretty good. What about food? I'm kind of curious because you're down in Louisiana, so I feel like, and I'm sorry if this is like if I'm stereotyping you, I don't know if I am or not, but I'm going to say you can't say crawfish. Is that totally stereotyping you?
It is, but I don't. That's a stereotype I don't mind.
Okay, all right. Well,
but
if somebody does mind it, tough luck. Get over it. You'll be okay.
I am a fan of crawfish, but since I can't say crawfish, there's so much mercy. But and I love to cook myself. But honestly,
all right, I'm going to explain it. We're doing an audible here, Brad. What is your favorite or what is your best dish that you cook? We're changing it up here on the Stock Trading Reality podcast here. What is your best go-to dish?
Okay. Well, since you're going to do that, I'm going to switch from a Louisiana dish altogether and say anything smoked ribs, smoked brisket.
Brad, how come I have not had an invite down to your house for any sort of barbecue? I'm insulted right now. We may just have to have a meetup in Louisiana. So that's what we should do, Brad. We should rent out a park and you can come and smoke or do your barbecue. That would be a good time.
That would be pretty cool. My dream setup, I don't know if you'd want to call it a job, but my dream setup would be to trade during the week and go to travel to barbecue competitions on the weekend. That would be great for me. I love to smoke anything, especially ribs, but anything really.
Okay. But, you're not talking meth.
That would be awesome. No. Anything food wise.
That was such a bad joke. I'm like a third. I mean, I couldn't resist. As of the recording, it's Friday afternoon. I'm a little loopy right now just because it's Friday afternoon. So I was like, let's just throw it out there. If people are still listening by now, they're full bore with us. They understand. Yeah. But awesome. Well, no, that sounds good. And my wife and I, we've been trying to get more into the homemade barbecue stuff, a little bit more cost effective. But yeah, it sounds like you're on a whole nother level. I go to barbecue competitions to like sample the stuff. I'm assuming I'm understanding you want to go to them to actually compete in them, right?
I do. And right now I would say that, I have some areas where I need to improve on, but you could take me to a barbecue competition tomorrow and I would not be afraid to enter my ribs for sure.
Man, I want to try the ribs now. This is, that's awesome. I don't know. I know DT from the community likes to. Should I know this about you? Have we ever had this conversation, or is this?
We actually have. I think you put out something in the chat room one time or Facebook about you were wanting to get a smoker or something like that.
Oh yes, yeah. Did you chime in on that? Okay, all right.
Yeah. I told you that I was wanting to build my own. I have plans to build my own one day. I don't have the material for it yet, but I have plans drawn up for what I want to build.
Okay, all right. I'd be lying if I said I remember that it was you in that conversation, but so my apologies. Things get blurred together every now and then, but well, it sounds like that's also a hobby of yours. So is that a fair assumption? So you kind of answered two questions in one there. And then finally, three words, and these 3 words need to be what you would associate with, what it takes to be a successful trader. What is a successful trader? So what would those 3 words be?
Discipline for sure. You've got to be disciplined with your stop losses, with your, profit taking. So absolutely discipline. Just education, just making sure that you learn. You don't go into it blindly. Make sure that you go into it knowing what you're doing, and then just grit or determination. I remember, and this might be a little bit of a long answer for this question, but whenever I did make the switch from welding structural to welding pipe, I was working in Lake Charles, and back then we were working 5 days a week, and there again we were working 10 hours a day. I'd make the 2 hour drive down, 2 hour drive home. and I was still trying to make that transition. But I would go down there, and at work, I would learn from the pipe welders. I'd ask them questions. I'd get back home, and I'd have a welding machine at home, and I would get home at 7:30 in the evening, and I would get out there and practice what I learned until dark. Go inside, go to bed, and go do it the next day. And with me going through that and kind of making that transition, I mean, it was hard, but that's kind of what got me over that hurdle of, well, what makes me think I can be part of that 10% that makes it to be successful in trading? Well, you're not going to, and it's, I had to kind of go back to the advice I give my kids. You're anything in life is not worth having if you don't have to work hard for it. And, it's not going to come easy, and you have to make that determination that I'm going to put the time in, I'm going to put the effort in, and I'm going to work hard. I'm going to learn it, and so you just have to make that determination.
I mean, I'm ready to run through a brick wall right now. Let's get to it. Absolutely. I mean, if it's hard, you're more than likely on the right path that you want to be. Now, the overthinker in me says, well, but let's also make sure we're working smart and not, working smart, not harder. But yeah, the overall premise, absolutely. It's when you said it, when you were telling your story about, I'd get home and go and do it and practice and then go on the next day, it was hard, but of course it's hard. That's what beast mode looks like. I mean, so Brad, you're kind of a jerk. Why do you save not that anything else you weren't saying was good, but you save this knowledge in this, kind of little miniature inspirational speech at the tail end of this whole thing. I guess, those that wait around and listen to this whole thing, they will be rewarded. But absolutely, if it's hard, then you're probably on the right path. And, that's right. Hopefully what we showed to people and demonstrated to listeners is that, yeah, the stuff is possible, but yeah, it's sloppy. It's not necessarily smooth. It is hard. It takes a lot of work, but that's why this is I wanted to make it a two-parter because it's really doing a good job of showing the nitty-gritty. But with that being said, Brad's wife, I again apologize for keeping him out for this long. But Brad, thank you very much for hanging out and doing a two-parter here.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Clay. It's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
So, I mean, just as a quick plug for people that are maybe nervous like you were, I mean, this isn't too bad, is it? I mean, you just come on, you hang out, and you just talk, right? It's nothing to be scared of to be a guest, right?
No, not at all. And, it's, for a while I was, kind of back and forth on whether or not I would want to do it before I was even, before you even brought it up to me. But it's just there's so many good learning points from all the other podcasts that I've listened to. I thought, well, how can I not go on? And, it's, maybe somebody can, as pathetic as my story is, maybe somebody can learn something from it. But no, it's been a lot of fun. It really has.
Good. And your story is not, well, it depends on how you define pathetic. I would call it realistic. You're proper, the proper way to go about it. So we're going to have you back on again, though. Did we send you a mic?
Oh, yes, you did.
Beautiful. So now that whenever we need you, we know that you have a mic. So there we go. There's no escape. But in all seriousness, though, I appreciate it. I had a good time. Those are not empty words. If I was not having a good time, we would not have, let's see, we're at an hour and 40 minutes right now as far as our recording software is concerned. So I appreciate you taking time. And I'll see you in the chat room.
Yeah, thanks, Clay. I appreciate it.
For you listeners, before you go, first off, thank you for listening to both parts. I'm assuming you did. But before you go, a couple quick things. If you're listening to this on YouTube, make sure to check out the rest of the channel. There are other videos. There's live trade videos. There's quick tip videos. There's the vlog. Brad referred to, the truck video where I went out and bought a truck. That's on the vlog. So there's kind of some random stuff there too. But make sure to check out the rest of the channel, and hopefully you decide to subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, then please subscribe. And especially on iTunes, if you could leave us a rating, that helps us out a whole lot. And, we really do appreciate it. And finally, if you are at claytrader.com on the show notes page, click that share button, leave us a comment down below. We pride ourselves in being interactive. So if you're willing to reach out to us, then we will definitely reply back, whether that's a question, a comment, a suggestion. We like to hear from people. So, just know that you can do that via the show notes page, or just contact us through social media. Just contact us in any way that makes your life easier. And I think that is it. So thank you again to Brad. Thank you again to all you listeners out there. We will see you back next week.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the Clay Trader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit claytrader.com.